Hi, I'm Danielle Davies, and you're listening to Roar, a show that amplifies the voices of women breaking barriers, leading change, and making real impact. Keep listening for bold ideas and stories that inspire you to find your voice and make some noise. Hey everybody, I'm Danielle Davies, the host of Roar. Today's guest refused to accept a label that millions of women hear and quietly carry: infertile. Instead, Dr. Jennifer Hintzsche used her PhD in bioinformatics, along with a whole lot of determination, to invent a medical device that not only helped her conceive her own daughter, but became the first and only FDA-cleared, sterile, at-home insemination kit. It's called PherDal, and it's won several awards, including Time Best Inventions of 2024 and Inc. Top 500 Female Founders. Since then, Jen's not only changed her own story, she's changing how we think about fertility, innovation, and the power of women saying there has to be a better way. We're talking about science, stigma, and the courage it takes to rewrite the narrative for yourself and for millions of others. Welcome, Jen.
Oh, thank you. That was like the nicest welcome ever.
Oh my God, I try.
Can you do that like as I walk in the kitchen for my family?
100%. I'm actually like considering offering it as a service. Like,
yes, you should.
To people, wherever you are, like an Applebee's, you walk in.
And you just have a microphone, and I would be the most confident woman in the world if you could.
I think we all need to just hear this all the time.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being here. So, full disclosure, we have met before. If anybody, for the people listening, we met at a FemTech conference, which I highly recommend. I don't know if you met Jenny Lynn Walding there.
Yes.
Yes. Jenny and I like joke all the time about like it's Hasbrook Heights. Like, who would have known? The amazing people you'd meet in Hasbrook Heights.
That was such a good conference. Yeah.
Such a good conference. So even there, you were winning awards. You were right. You won that.
Yeah, I won the pitch competition. Yeah.
Yes. So
I think it's back there. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, that was awesome. So that's where I first heard about what you were doing and met you. But let's talk about this for the people who don't know what PherDal is. But first, we're going to just start at the very beginning, because this is really a key part of your story, not just what you did, but why and how you did it. So you've said you refused to accept infertile as your diagnosis. Can you walk us through that moment when like your, grief, your frustration, your anger turned into action and you thought, you know what, maybe I'm just going to handle this myself?
Yes. Hold on one second. Sorry.
Bless you.
Didn't want to cough the microphone. That moment. I can tell you, I was in my husband's truck. We had just left the fertility clinic. Like it's one of those memories you can like smell. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we had just spent the day. I was half naked, running around, getting poked and prodded, and I genuinely hop, skipped, and jumped into that fertility clinic because I was like, I had to wait a year to get there. So we had to fail at having sex to conceive a child for an entire year before we were allowed to see a fertility clinic. And so I go in with all of this hope, and I'm like so ready and like, yes, tell me what's wrong, please. Like, bring everybody in. Does anyone else want to open book? And then my husband goes in the room, does his thing. I'm making inappropriate jokes. We sit down with the doctor. He has this huge desk, and he's like, everything looks normal. And of all the scenarios in my head, that wasn't one of them. And for context, at the time, I am a PhD cancer research scientist who does personalized medicine for oncologists. So my day job was finding what therapies one individual person could try to treat their individual tumor, regardless of the cancer. So, and like presenting it to oncologists. So I'm sitting here in a clinical setting thinking every doctor cares that much, right? To have like the personalized and a lot of them do. I'm not doctor hating. And he goes, everything's normal. So you have unexplained infertility. And I genuinely laughed. I laughed. I was like, unexplained means you just don't give a shit to like explain it. And he was like, yep. And he's like, it's really common. Like 30% of all of our people that come in here have unexplained infertility. And I was like, did you think of just explaining it though? Can we just, no? Okay. And so I'm taking this in because I laughed inappropriately. Taking it in, I I look at my husband and I'm like, he's just like, okay, no, whatever. But I'm like, I know too much to be like, I'm like, no, this isn't okay. So then I'm like, okay, well, what do you recommend if you don't know what's wrong? And I thought he would say, we're going to try XYZ. He handed me a packet that was already like sitting next to his desk, ready to hand out. And it was a loan application. And he said, now that you have this diagnosis of unexplained infertility in your medical chart, because I just gave it to you, all of your insurance from here on out is cut off. They will not treat unexplained infertility. It is not legally required. It is a basically cosmetic, it's not life-threatening.
I got a question.
Ask all the questions.
What does unexplained infertility rule out? Like, what is explained fertility? If 30% of people, you said it's about 30, are unexplained
at the fertility clinic, yeah. Okay.
So
they've already gone through a year.
So those other 70, there's some reason they're not able to conceive that they know of. Is that what you're saying?
Probably. But I'll tell you that there's also like another gray area of, I don't know, like it's really hard to diagnose endometriosis. Like they think everyone, if you're slightly overweight, which I was, have PCOS. He goes, you might have PCOS. And I'm going, I don't have any of the symptoms of PCOS, but like, which he would have known if he had looked at all in my chart. But so, but yes, there are legitimate, and don't get me wrong, there are legitimate conditions where people need it. But like, this is one day, and you came up with this. So yeah, there are other, like there's male factor infertility. Ryan's semen could have come back with low motility or low mobility.
And if that were the case, insurance would have covered.
No.
Oh, okay.
At the time. So this was also 2017.
Okay.
Which there's so much. That was also the first year that women and minorities were required to be in phase 3 clinical trials. That's my fun fact. Before then, they were not required to be in clinical trials. Sorry.
Can you explain what that means to like our general audience?
Oh, yeah. That means all of the medicine and everything was only tested on old white men.
Until
2017 when we were like, hey, can you maybe like test these on other people? Yeah.
Didn't we start including women in medical testing a little bit before that, right? It was like,
yes, but this was the first time it was like required for women and minorities.
In phase 3, like, which is more.
Yes, which is like the one where it's like, is it going to work? Yeah.
Awesome. So you're telling me this happened in 2017. Okay. We can turn off the microphone now and just call it a day.
Yeah. I mean.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Yep. All right. It was great talking to you now. So unexplained infertility, any infertility at that time in Illinois, insurance cut off. Like, you're done. Because it's not necessary. It's not medically necessary for me to have a child. So I look at this, and the fact that it was like prepackaged and just handed to me and it was yellow. When I tell you I could smell it, I mean, like this is seared into my memory. And he hands it to me and I open it up to see like financial information of how to afford fertility treatment. And I was like, you just told me you do not know what is wrong with me. You are handing me a packet to pay for a solution, but you don't know the problem. None of this makes sense. Like none of it. It like almost snapped me out of this, like, I'm gonna get a baby here today. And like, I go in there, they serve you cucumber water. It smells like lavender. There's babies all over the wall. They warm the stirrups. They like all of these things. And then I'm like, oh, this is money. And if I want to be clear, if they said this is wrong and here's a treatment, that's a whole different story. But so so we leave. I'm just like, I'm angry and quiet, which I am rarely quiet. So my husband would actually know something's wrong. So we're driving home from Chicago, and we live 2 hours from Chicago. So we have this long drive home, and he's like, okay. And at this point, like, our marriage was on the rocks. We were newly married, but infertility is one of the leading causes of divorce for a reason. Like, and I'm a little bit type A. So it got really unfun trying to conceive for a year and failing with me as a partner real quick. Because I was like, I don't have time for romance. Let's go. I want this baby. To be fair, I've apologized to him since then, but we're in a
part of this with you, so we'll get to that. But go ahead.
Sorry,
I'm smiling because I'm like, I know the end result. Okay, go ahead.
I know. Yes. So we're in the truck on the way home, and he's so nice. Takes a special man. He was like, hey, they have options we can try, and I go, but they don't know what's wrong. So he recommended 3 months of IUI and then 3 months of IVF. And so in my head, I'm just thinking, IUI. Why do we have to do IUI?
What is IUI?
So IUI is when they would take his sperm, they centrifuge it down into a pellet, just all the live ones essentially make it. It's like a filter. And instead of us having sex and it going there, they put it into my uterus.
Okay.
Oh, did you need a 3D printed model? Because I have one.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Do you
He's
have?
He's an engineer. It won't be this sperm. That's not the right size.
Okay.
Okay. But so it goes into the uterus instead of like natural intercourse. It would be into the vagina.
Okay. So it's all the way there.
It's all the way inside your uterus. So they take a catheter, and I don't know if you can see, there's a tiny hole for those of you listening.
Okay.
That's your cervix. So they go through your cervix, put the sperm into the uterus. And I was like, why do they think that would help? And essentially the answer is, I don't know, we'll put more sperm closer and hope one of them gets there. So this whole way home, I'm upset, angry, but I'm thinking, anyway, that set off the chain of the spite reactions where all of a sudden I was just so pissed off that this is how things were being done that the next week I was headed to Korea, Australia, and Italy to give talks about cancer research.
Okay.
I downloaded every paper I could find on Google Scholar about infertility, idiopathic infertility, which is unexplained infertility. IUI, I learned there was something called ICI. And on these long plane rides, I read every possible thing I could and like tried to figure it out myself. And I'm standing on this stage in Korea. There's a picture of me where I wish the world knew that like I'm touted as this expert biologist who was just told her biology didn't work. And the shell of the woman that was speaking on that stage, like, it was like, I look at that and I'm like, I was so broken. And already being a woman in science, if the audience had known, it would have been like, you know what I mean? Like it was So I find out anyway, we come home and we were like, okay, we're going to start IUI. And I was like, nope, I've done all this research. I found out there was ICI. And so your cervix is here. Okay. If you put the sperm at the opening of the cervix, so like 1 inch lower than what they were going to do, and you don't have to process the sperm, you don't have to wash it. So if you put it 1 inch lower, there were papers showing, 2 different papers that show it had the same live birth rate, meaning you hold a baby at the end of the day. Okay. You might get pregnant more with IUI, but you miscarry more.
Got it.
but
Okay.
live baby in your arms, which is what we all want at the end of the
Right.
day, same exact success rate. And I went, what the hell? How how did it take me having to go through, sadly it wasn't that much research into women's health because there isn't that much, but why did I have to go into Google Scholar to find out that there was an option called ICI, intracervical insemination, and now you're going to tell me it has the same success rate? Why the hell did no one offer this to me? What
Would
is
they
the
not offer that? Could
no?
you do that?
Exactly. So I
Okay.
was like, why did no one offer it? They were offering it to people who like like intercourse was painful, or like there are very legitimate reasons, but like the average person walking in, no, because you don't need to process the sperm, and if you do it right with the right materials at home, they wouldn't need it. You wouldn't have to pay them.
Okay. So it all comes down to money.
Yes.
Got it.
So I was like, well, good thing I work in a cancer research lab. I ordered lab supplies. At this point, it's important my husband is a mechanical engineer. Um, and so turns out we didn't know what each other really did, but now we kind of get it.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know, he engineers. I don't know what that means. And he was like, and the fact that he could say bioinformatics was like, good job. And so he's a mechanical engineer. And I was like, no, we just need to get sperm closer to the egg. The amount of things he learned about a cervix, he never will forget, sadly. He's like, I know so much about cervical mucus. I'm like, that a boy. But I ordered lab supplies and I was like, look, no one's going to offer this. We're going to do it our damn self. So ordered lab supplies. I was like, he's like, what do I have to do? I'm like, it has to be sterile. It has to be IVF grade plastic because I don't want an infection and I don't want it to kill the sperm. And there was literally nothing on the market that existed that was sterile and that would get sperm closer to the egg. That was safe for women, safe for sperm, which, again, mind blowing. Like, because when we're talking like a generic 1 milliliter syringe, even if it's sterile, all of that plastic kills sperm. Like, there's so many things that kill sperm. Lubricants kill sperm, all lubricants. So, like, those syringes are lubricated. So,
Oh,
like,
wow. Okay.
all of the things that, like, and so it seems so simple and so crazy that we now have 3 utility patents for sterile at-home insemination kits because no one gave a shit. I had to point out that they were sterile. It was, yeah. But so we tried it ourselves. I was like, hold my beer, ordered lab supplies. Husband goes in the other room. He brings back a jar, which I give a little pep talk to. I'm like,
Okay.
we're really sick of infertility. Please let this work. Because that's how unhinged we are at this point, that I am
Okay.
creating home medical devices.
And okay. Okay. But you actually,
But
but
we
you
do.
managed to find, by the way, the materials to
The
make them.
materials I needed, I ordered them from my cancer research lab. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And so we try it the first month, it doesn't work. And I told my husband, give me 3 months. They said do 3 months of IUI. I said, give me 3 months of trying this. And again, I don't know, I must have gave him a bourbon or something. He agreed to it. But it was the second month in December of 2017 that it worked. And so beginning of January 2018, it was January 11th, I called him after peeing on what was probably my 300,000th pregnancy test and was like, holy shit, it worked. And he's like, I'm going to run off the road. Are you serious? And my daughter Lois just turned 7.
Oh my God. First of all, that's so amazingly awesome. But it is literally, there are so many questions now.
Yeah.
But first of all, you basically found the method, created the method because it did not exist before. So, by the way, this is like one of the common themes when I interview people in war, because it's not all people in health. It's sometimes authors, it's sometimes
Yeah.
people running for office, it's sometimes, reporters, but a lot of times women, especially because there is so little information about us and because,
Mhm.
we're like so mystical.
Yes.
Once figured these things out. But a lot of times we end up, and I'm not excluding men from this. I don't talk to a lot of men about this, but it seems that women see a problem and so they go in to fix it. It's not like you
We're
weren't
problem
five,
solvers.
right?
Yeah.
You weren't five. Like when I grow up, I want to solve infertility. Like you, this
No,
is you weren't.
I always say, this is never what I wanted to do. Now, like who does that? Like, well, you know what? It's a Tuesday at 3. I'm a little bored. I think I'll just
Right.
invent a medical device and
Right.
go tell the world that, you know, my husband and I had sex a lot and it never worked.
Exactly. So that's your goal,
Like,
obviously.
obviously, that's not what I set out to do. But then when
So
it works, holy shit. And
but so
yeah,
it worked and it worked, but
it worked.
originally it was just for you,
It
obviously.
was just for me. And
You're
it was
trying
a
to get pregnant.
hilarious dinner party joke. I think my husband hated it. Uh, we would be sitting around and I would be like, hey, do you guys want to hear how we conceived? No one ever said yes. But I continued anyway. So and I was like, hear me out. Guess what? There was this process. And then my husband would just sit there like, yeah, she's going to tell you anyway. Um, because I go, it's so crazy that no one knows this. But by the way, I didn't start telling my dinner party joke until I'm holding my healthy daughter in my arms. Because also, when you've gone through infertility, then it worked. I took the day off work when I found out I was pregnant because you feel so fragile. I'm like, I don't know how to be pregnant. Can I sit? Like, I mean, it's like instant anxiety then.
Yeah, because
Like,
then now you got to make it through.
how am I going to make it through? Because I already know I was bad at getting this part. So, like, now what, you know? Um, but so I told the story, and then I'm holding a healthy 4-month old, and I threw up, and my son Zach is 6. So we didn't need help for him, and it was once. We call him Michael Phelps. He just swam right up there. I was still
Now you have
breastfeeding.
two kids,
I have
but
two
you only had
kids.
to use the kit once.
I only use the kit, yep. So we call
Once.
them Lois makers at first.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Uh
lowest makers. I like it.
huh.
Wait, but still, the lowest maker is still just in your house at this point.
Just in my house. Now I am everything I was so jealous of. The people are that like, oh, my husband looks at me and I get pregnant. And I'm like, literally, I was breastfeeding. I hadn't had my period yet. I had sex one time. And so, like, I went to the doctor and they're like, how far along are you? I'm like, I don't know. This one just came out. And they're like, when was your last period? I'm like, I don't know, 16 months ago. Like, so it's basically an elephant. I was pregnant for 2 years. And so my kids are 380 days apart.
Wow.
Um, and Zach is my son. He was 8 weeks early, but we're all here and safe and healthy now. But 6 months after that is when COVID hit. So at this point, I'm out of the cancer research lab. I'm working in corporate because they'll actually pay you usually instead of academia. Yeah. So I was like, I have kids to raise. I'm gonna get a big girl job. So I work in corporate and I'm climbing the corporate ladder and I have these 2 babies that are on me at home. Um, and I got to the point when they were like 1 and 2 that I was like, I am working so damn hard for someone else's dream and I'm burned out and I just want to bring joy into the world. And so I was having a rough time at work and I just decided to take a week off. And I told my husband, if some things don't change on Monday, I'm just going to quit my job. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, but I don't have another job lined up. Um, and he was like, you've always wanted to start, um, and so he would come home every day and he's like, what'd you come up with? And I was like, okay, jackets for cats. And he was like, we don't own a cat. And I was like, oh, okay, no shade out there to anyone who, but we don't even own a cat. But I would come up with all these, and then I go, okay, but the one I really want to do, and the one that would be the most meaningful, I don't know if you're gonna be okay with it. And I was like, I want to make Lois makers. And I want to like see if we can help other people. And he was like, you are gonna sell what on the internet? Like, he's like, I think you're gonna get arrested. I don't know. So I talked him into it. When I talked him into it, the joke is like, if you tell me that I can't do something, then I will. So he genuinely was like, I don't think you can pull that off. And I was like,
That was the mistake. There you go. Yeah.
and he knows now. So he'll be like, I bet you won't do the dishes. And I'm like, no, that doesn't work. And so I made 200 proof of concept kits. I ordered supplies. I put up a website. At this time, I'm also going through a lot of therapy about all the traumatic events that have led from infertility to two babies. And so I made 200 kits. I put it up on the internet. I have no idea what I'm doing. I reach out to like some alumni groups and some friends and like, hey, is anyone else trying to conceive? So the first 200 kits sold out in 90 days, and there's 34 babies from those initial kits.
Which is so okay. So it's 200 kits. There's 34 babies. But hold on, were you calling it Lois Maker at the time?
No. So I did come up with the name PherDal because I'm like, what am I going to call? I'm not like a cutesy. That's just not my vibe.
Okay.
And so I was trying to think, and I was like, okay, what if we spell fertile, but we use my PhD? So like, I proved I was fertile, but using my PhD. And then my mom's like, no one's going to get it. And my husband's like, no one's going to get it. And I'm like, but when they get it, they're going to love it.
You're like, but when they do,
when they do.
Yes.
So the DNA on our logo is because that's what I was doing with bioinformatics, but also you make new DNA with FherDal.
Okay. All right. I love it. First of all, I love it. And I love that, like, did you by any chance like send a picture or just, a kit to that doctor?
Oh, the most delicious spite that has ever existed was the day we got FDA clearance, which we crowdfunded for, and that was the whole thing. And I was the day that we got FDA clearance, comes out in the news, and that fertility clinic was running Google ads against the word fertile. And I loved it. They felt so threatened that they started paying money to run ads against a word I had made up.
Wow.
From leaving their office. I genuinely was full of so much spiteful joy.
I'm sure you were. And I'm sure you still are because now where's fertile? Like the first 200 kits got you 34 babies.
Got us 34 babies. The second fertile baby.
How much was the kit, by the way? How much was the kit?
$199.
So as opposed to the thousands of dollars.
It was $10,000. Yeah, $10,000 was for 3 months of IUI. That was the loan that the doctor handed me. So I needed $10,000 in cash to pay for 3 months of IUI. So, which at the time was a quarter of my salary, you're going to tell me is what.
So you now have a kit for $150.
$199.
Now it's $199, but it was $100. Well, still.
Oh, sorry. It was, the very first proof of concept kits.
Under $200. And how often can you use that kit?
So it's sterile. So it's single use only, but you can use it up to 6 months. Like you can use a fertile kit once every 6 months.
Got it. Okay.
So this is that's the fertile package. So it comes with 3 syringes and 3 jars. So you're going to use it on your 3 most fertile nights.
Got it.
So IUI has like a 20% success rate. They do that one time in a clinical setting. This has the same success rate. We're doing it 3 nights to cover your entire 24 hours when the egg is actually viable, which they don't know exactly when your egg, I say when the egg drops, like a mic drop, but from then on you have 24 hours. And so we want to put as much sperm as we can in that 24-hour window. So you're doing it 3 times instead of once in the clinic. And you can do it for up to 6 months. So yeah, but for $200.
Hey everyone, I've got some exciting news. I'm partnering with Louis, that's Luwi, a company that's reimagined women's health through the lens of the P word. Yep, pleasure. Because pleasure's a vital sign. It's not taboo, it's not indulgent, it's wellness. Louis Lube is more than a silicone-based formula that skips the toxins and hormone disruptors. It's the start of a movement that puts wellness and pleasure first. Order Louis Lube at getlouis.com, that's GETLUWI.com, and use code ROAR15, that's ROAR15, for a special discount at checkout.
I'm going to make it.
Gosh, okay, and tell me now, like, how many FherDal kits have sold?
Well, yeah, we had the first 200. Then, well, there was a long pause between, okay.
You can go into it. It's okay.
I was like, do you want, well, the second FherDal baby was a stranger on the internet and our family now vacations with them.
Oh, stop. How much younger than Lois is that baby?
3 years. Harper just turned 3.
She has a third. This woman has a third baby.
That's her. No, Harper, her daughter, is 3.
Okay. Got it.
Now, today.
Got it.
They live in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and we live in Dixon, Illinois. It's like 3-hour drive. So they drove with their newborn to our house and we had dinner. That changed my entire life. I was like holding this baby and they were thanking me. And I'm like, I have chills and I could almost.
I have goosebumps.
That feeling of joy, I was like, I'm going to chase this feeling the rest of my life. Like, if this, like, I don't know if this is what heroin feels like. I don't know. Like the amount of like just gratitude that I had for this couple to like, let me like trust me in such an intimate process to like see if it would work. And when it did, and Tessa and Kevin and Harper and Ellis is their second, like, yeah, we became friends. It's beautiful. And I'm like weirdly attached to so many of our FherDal babies that like I crochet and my hands are going to go numb by Christmas because I want to make them all baby blankets. But,
gosh,
when we first sold out of those 200 kits, we were registered as a class 1 medical device, which is like a Band-Aid.
Okay.
Because syringe, like it's low risk. The FDA was like, hey, we think you're onto something. We love what you're doing, but you need to get FDA clearance. I don't know what FDA clearance is. So there's 3 classes of medical devices. So Band-Aid level, then apparently insemination kit is right here at number 2. It's also things like diabetes shots, insulin shots, anything that's kind of like going in you but not staying in you.
Okay.
And then level 3 is like, do you need a new hip? Or like we're putting in a shunt or something. Okay. So we're at level 2, a little bit of risk because it didn't exist. So they basically decided that they were going to make a new product category for medical devices.
Prior to this, though, the test ones you're selling without any.
I'm selling them registered with the FDA as like a Band-Aid, like a class 1 device.
Okay. But the FDA is telling you have to go.
So the FDA was like, this is great. We love innovation, but you need to quit selling unless you get FDA clearance. But we don't know what we're going to call you yet. But like, we like it. And they literally called my cell phone. And I was like, this is the FBI? And they're like, no, this is the FDA. And I was like, I paid my registration. Because even if you sell, anyone who sells a Band-Aid in the US, you have to register. Like,
okay.
And so I did. So I was like, we're on board. they were like, yeah, but we think that it might need, stronger regulations, which I'm like, sure. Okay, what do you want me to do? I had the ignorance that I had, blind ignorance is the only reason we're here today. Uh, I'm like, sure, gonna go do a couple tests. I'm a scientist. Run an experiment. I soon came to find out estimated costs were 3 to 5 million to get FDA clearance. I did not have that laying around. So I was like, is this the end of, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't, so, I was
But it also
already.
makes you wonder how many people are having innovations that can't like afford this. So we're stopping innovation basically. And
Exactly. Well, because that's where I was at the point where the reason I talked Ryan into it is because I go, why the hell does it take a PhD to go into the research to figure out that there's something else that people already knew about and were trying, and a mechanical engineer to be able to like help me actually come up with the device and CAD drawings and production and all of that? Why does it take us too? Like, how many people are lucky enough to know how to go into Google Scholar and, have been trained and written articles in Nature? Like, not many. How many people are also married to a mechanical engineer? Not many. But like, it's simple and the world needs to know. And so, how many people are also coming up with devices that could help people? And again, money. So, like, our 3 utility patents that we got, I had to list out my CV of like those talks that I mentioned that I was going to. Here's where I am a trusted biology expert giving talks internationally to tell them that sterilizing a device before you put it inside your vagina is different than a dildo shaped device. I mean, like, it was insane. That's how we got the patents. Is I then had to prove to the patent office that not having bacteria shoved into your vagina was an important factor. So like, no other kit is sterile and can be sterilized. We are the only ones for the next 19 years.
and when you said no other kit, so now there are other kits.
There are illegal kits that are being sold.
Okay. But they don't have FDA clearance. So
They don't have FDA clearance, even though they're on the shelf in Target. They are they are not FDA cleared. They are not sterile. They're actually, I don't know how much you want me to go into the vaginal microbiome, but it's actually hurting people's fertility. But anyway, so when I found out we needed FDA clearance, I then was like, don't have it laying around. I've helped these 34 families. I don't know. My dad actually forwarded me. He goes, check out this. There's crowdfunding equity. You can actually like sell parts of your company to try to get funding. And I quit my job then, took out $10,000 loan, which was the minimum on this website that you had to get your money back. And I was like,
okay.
I'm going to go tell everyone that our business didn't work, but no one's probably going to do anything. So here's my so I saved up, here's $10,000, which I wouldn't pay the doctor, but I'm willing to just quit my job and put into this like crowdfunding website. And, I always say it was like I was running down the street naked and going to be like, hey, everybody, my vagina doesn't work. And I thought they would all point and laugh, and they all also got naked and they were like, mine neither. And 433 people raised $630,000 in 5 months.
Wow.
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 When I tell you 1 in 5 people are struggling in silence, 1 in 5 people are struggling or have struggled or are going to struggle. And it was not just me. And holy shit, all of these people are like, still, I call them our fertile family. So they own 4% of my company. Together, we paid, it wasn't 3 to 5 million. We did it with $630,000, got all of the clearance testing. now have 3 utility patents. So we got FDA cleared at the end of 23. We went on the market. Um, we were just on the market when I met you last year in 24.
Okay.
So we've been on the market now for about 18 months, and we are approaching our 500th fertile baby.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
It's insane.
500 baby.
500 babies. I don't know how I'm going to hold them all. I want to send them all Christmas presents. I'm obsessed with them. My inbox is like positive pregnancy tests and like ultrasounds and like hearing so many different family stories and like, I can't describe it to you. It is,
I
yeah.
can't even imagine what that must feel like, and that that to have that go from like this absolute negative place for you where you're being told this pardon me, where you're being told this information, feeling so vulnerable, so furious also, but also like here's your dreams. You've been working hard at trying to become a mom. It's not working. Instead of I mean, so many people at that point deflate. Like so many people are told this information and are like, I don't have options. Or they take out loans and they go,
And to be fair, those people, like I happen to be the right or wrong, depending on person, but like that was my wheelhouse.
yeah,
If I, but if it wasn't like my husband's a mechanical engineer, and he's like, I don't know. They said unexplained infertility, and here's the thing, because we all, I think, go in with this blanket white coat trust that this doctor is going to tell us, which a lot of them do. But it's gotten so much better, but we have all need to advocate and understand and ask questions. And so they would deflate, but it's not because they didn't want to fight, Like my husband was just like, this sucks. This is what we have to do. I
right,
just
right. You're just
like,
like, these are my options as well.
yeah, you're
Know
given
them,
2 options.
you know?
And so then people are like freezing their eggs at 25, which now is way more common. I don't know if I would have done it, but that's basically IVF. You're just pumping your body full of hormones and you're harvesting, which means surgery, the eggs out of your body. And like, it's not just, gonna go freeze my eggs today. Like a sperm sample, you can just shoot it into a cup,
Right.
Um, there's, there's just, we're told so little and we're given so few options. And so, yeah, a lot of people go into debt. I mean, have hundreds of thousands. IVF can be $50,000 per month.
Which is
Like
crazy. And that's the thing. So many people are limited because
they're
people can't
limited. And of
all
course,
afford that.
yeah. And that would have been us too, like that word unexplained really changed my life.
Well, and I mean, you're talking about from $50,000 to like to 200, or maybe you get it for 3 months, 600. I mean, a
Yeah.
year's worth is
Yeah.
2,400. Like it's a completely different financial reality for so many people.
Yeah. And so my goal is right now, you before fertile, you can be like me. You're having sex for a year. It's not working. You're waiting. I remember I went to the OB at 8 months and they were like, you have to fail for 4 more months before you can get help. Those 4 months. And so there's the OB. They refer you to the fertility specialist after a year. If you're over 35, you can go at 6 months. If you're over 40, you can go at 3 months. But at 32, it felt like at 8 months, I'm like, that's my last egg. It wasn't, it turned, but like that's how you feel. And I'm
Right.
broken and I'm ruining my marriage. And then the next option is we're handed a loan application and there's nothing in between. Like, what? And so our goal with Fertile is there is a huge gap in care between what you can do to conceive at home and what you can do to conceive in a fertility clinic, and Fertile bridges the gap between that. So it is like bringing the fertility clinic into your bedroom a little more private, just a smidge. It's discreetly delivered, but you're doing it at home by yourself. It's as easy to use as a tampon. We say collect, insert, conceive. We get sperm into the cervical mucus where it survives and filters and just gets most of your swimmers halfway through the race and increases your odds.
It's unbelievable. And for so many reasons, and there's so many ways I want to go, but I'm trying to keep myself like on top of this as a story. But I feel like I just have to say one more time that this is so inexpensive, and that you as a human being and scientist with a family who've created something could have been like, this is $600 a pop. This is $900. When people, it's like weddings, right? You can buy flowers.
Yeah, like if you book a venue for like a birthday party, it's $5. But if it's a
Right.
wedding, it's 50,000.
Exactly. But, and it's like babies, people get desperate. It's an emotional need to have a baby. When you want a baby and you can't have one,
There are
a
no
lot of feelings. And I
so
feel like
many.
you could easily be thinking, hey, you know what? I put a lot of time and energy into this. I've got a family to raise, and nobody would blame you if you doubled the price on that or you tripled the price of it. Nobody would. And it still wouldn't. And it's so affordable. It's less than a prom dress.
Yeah. Well,
What prom dresses cost now?
like
It's crazy.
I'll know in a few years when
There you go.
But I grew up on a farm in a town of 2,000 people in Hinckley, Illinois. Um, there isn't reproductive endocrinologists where I live. Like I'm very country. I moved to the big city now. We have a stoplight and a Walmart and 15,000 people in Dixon. But so many people don't have the ability to take off a day of work. Like we took off a day of work just to go there to like do the testing for the doctor to piss me off to start this. Like you have to take work off. You like all of these things that like people just don't have affordable access, and it's so simple and like it's so common sense for people to try it. And my goal was always like affordable and accessible fertility science delivered to your door, and that's will continue to be my goal. Like there's nothing I want this to be $200 for some people is a lot, but it's not 50,000. So I want it to be within reach for as many people as possible.
Quick pause to thank all of you for listening. You may have noticed that Roar sounds a little more polished this season. That's thanks to my producer, who's responsible for making this third season sound as good as it does. If you believe in amplifying women's voices and want to support a teeny tiny creative team trying to do big, meaningful things, you can help at buymeacoffee.com/Roar Podcast. Your support truly makes all of this possible. And now let's get back to the show.
It might
Tell me about, you talked briefly about there are other options available that are not FDA approved, but
they're also not sterile. They cannot be sterile. So they are
that's
full
what
of bacteria as you are putting them inside your body. Just sorry.
I was going to say, what do you want women to know about their choices and what makes fertile different from other insemination options? And are there even these other models that have come out that are not?
There are 3 of us that are FDA cleared now, but we're the only sterilized one.
Okay. So there are other insemination models.
Yes. So there's there's illegal ones,
Okay.
and then there's 3 of us that have clearance to sell a medical device in the US, but we are the only ones that are sterilized, and we're longer, and there's lots of reasons. But yeah.
And the sterilization part, as you discovered, was like a really big part of this.
Yes. Can I nerd out for a minute on it?
Please do.
Do you want visuals?
Yes.
Okay. So, you know how you have a gut microbiome? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want to give it away yet.
Okay.
So you know how you have a gut microbiome, and so people will take like probiotics because
Yeah.
you want like a healthy gut microbiome. You have a microbiome of everything: your armpits, your belly button, your vagina.
Okay.
You have bacteria living all over inside of you. 10 bacteria for every 1 cell that's you.
So much fun.
So inside your vagina, you are born with a microbiome. So let's say this is your beautiful vagina.
Okay.
And so you're born with a microbiome that hasn't had things inserted into it, right?
Okay.
And so as we age, women are one, delaying conception. Usually, like our first child for most women now is about the age of 30. Um,
Okay.
and then we are having multiple partners before we decide to have children. And we are using tampons and menstrual cups, and we are putting devices into there. And so your microbiome changes with every partner and device and object. And so this isn't an infection. This is just different
Okay.
bacteria. So like if you had a one night stand you regret, it might still be living in your vagina.
Great to know.
Not speaking from personal experience.
And so, like you're saying, it's
But
not
yeah.
an infection. It's
It's
just
not an infection,
different.
it's just
It changes the
different. It
microbiome.
changes. Okay. Yes. And
Okay.
so
Okay.
you're inside there, you have a pH. If you alter the pH of your vaginal microbiome, you are going to kill sperm. So the only way, so all of this, if this is a pH friendly environment, now we have made it where if it touches any of the bacteria in there, you are going to kill the sperm.
Okay.
So when sperm naturally only 1%, where's my other? Only 1% would ever reach the cervix. That's you're having sex, right? Just
Okay.
1% would normally get there.
So that's just normal.
Normal sex.
Anybody wants
Anybody
a baby, doesn't want to have a baby, accidentally had a baby,
accidentally had a baby,
1%.
1% of all the sperm is going to actually get
You
to the
gotta be
cervix.
like, you gotta look around at people and be like, those are some active 1%, because there's a lot of people out there.
There's a lot of people out there. Yeah.
Okay.
We do. Just takes one.
Very active, that 1%.
Uh,
Okay.
each of us were the fastest sperm. We can all
Right.
say that.
Yes. Yes. It's good to know I was the fastest.
Yes. And so instead of 1%, okay, so now if this whole environment, if everything it touches is killing sperm, that's even less now. So instead of 1%, they're dying before they can even swim to get to the cervix. So you might not have any sperm actually reaching the cervix, but it's nothing you've done. It's not your fault. This isn't a shame session. This isn't, but if you use tampons, if you use menstrual cups, like those all change that environment in the vagina and are killing the sperm. So FerDal is going to, it delivers it at the cervix. So instead of 1%, we're getting 95%. And your cervical mucus is safe for sperm. It's the best lubricant, the only lubricant you should use. If it reaches the cervical mucus, it easily swims into the uterus. So we are putting a lot more sperm right at the cervical mucus to give them the entrance. So you go from 1% to 95% over your 3 most fertile nights. Your odds just went up astronomically.
Now, talk to me about, show me the difference if we've got a non-sterile device.
Oh, there, that would have been better. Okay, there's our syringe. Yeah.
Okay, so here's our sterile device, and that's how that's working.
So
and
we're putting it into.
because
So if
that's
you're
sterile, you've now managed to evade.
if you're not, so they're not sterile and they're all shorter, so they're not reaching the cervix. So you're basically mimicking sex with those. It's also sex isn't sterile, neither are these. You're adding to the vaginal microbiome. You're changing it, you're making it different, and you're just spraying it into the vaginal microbiome, which is already going to kill the sperm anyway. So with FerDal, we're going far enough up to reach the cervix, but we're not going into it. Doesn't hurt, should never be painful. But at your cervix is cervical mucus. And so the cervical mucus, essentially, once the sperm hit it, they can start swimming. If you're down here, there is cervical mucus, and you're hitting all of this bacteria-filled area, and it's just killing the sperm.
So if you're having some success with one of these other kinds of kits that aren't sterile, it's basically just the same as you had sex and you got lucky.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, so like it's the exact same, which a lot of couples need. And so if LGBTQ, single mothers by choice, if that's, there are lots of ways to build a family. And so they're good for that. They're good for mimicking sex.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Got it.
We, like our predicate device was the IUI catheter that the doctors use. So we are the ones that are like, we're not mimicking sex. We are mimicking the first line of fertility treatment they do in the clinic, but we're doing it at home.
Got it. Okay, that is a very good explanation. And I love how you point out if that's what you're trying to do, mimic sex, because for whatever reasons you just mentioned,
Yeah.
that's great. However, even if you, I mean, I would imagine if you're trying to get pregnant, go for the gold. If you're,
I
but
mean,
hey,
I'm biased. I'll say as a scientist, I'm biased that, I have a kid from two
yeah,
kids from, but like there is, yeah, we are for people who are struggling to conceive, no matter what your family looks like, which is different than someone trying to get sperm into their body.
just for the first time and just giving it.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right. Thank you for explaining that. I like this a lot. And then I have a like what's next for Fertile? Because I feel like you're just on a roll. And also, did you know this much about the cervix before you started?
I love that question. I knew nothing,
I was gonna say because I'm like, God,
not one. I
okay.
tell in like all the material, I think it's actually in like the first email once you buy the kit. I send you like detailed instructions. I did not know how to track my cycle. I didn't know when my 24-hour ovulation window was. Since I'm biology and computer science, I tried a lot of apps. I'll say they're different now, but they are all based on a 28-day cycle, and only 13% of women have a 28-day cycle. So they're not predicting your fertile window accurately. Um, and I tell them up front, I took every single biology class you can take, all of them. Like I joke, I went to college for 30 years. I graduated 34th grade. I knew zero of this, nothing. And I say that so that because people are like, oh my God, it's my own body. I feel like an idiot. And I'm like, no, you are not stupid. We have not been taught any of this. Trust me, I took every class and I knew nothing. Zero. Nada. So the answer is no. I've learned so much, but also I'm so grateful to our fertile families because they share so much about different scenarios and different ways that they're building their family or struggles they're facing and how and why fertile has helped them in ways that I haven't gotten to experience. And it's so moving. And I just am so grateful that they trust me in this process, and trust us to help.
What and that's by the way, that's like another really big part of it. Like infertility, conception, insemination, like these are not words that people are talking about, over coffee at Starbucks loudly, right? It's
Unless
like
you're me. Yeah.
right. But
Yeah.
why do you think it's so important women continue the conversation about things that feel so intimate?
I think for me, I felt so much shame. I can now call it that. But it was also grief because I was grieving what wasn't there. Like I I didn't always know if I wanted to be a mom, but when I decided I wanted to be a mom, I set a goal and I do it. But then I'm looking at my husband and I'm like, what if I can't give you children? What does our life look like? My entire future had a boy and a girl in it for some reason. That's what I always wanted. And luckily I got it. I would have taken anything, but, we had 3 dogs, but like, what would my future look like? What would the rest, like if do I divorce him so that he can go be a father? Cause he's going to be a great dad. And I want him to be a great dad. And is that what happiness would be? Is that like love if I go let him, all of these questions. And like, you feel like as a woman, you're broken and it's so hard to talk about because it's so intimate that literally being like the thing that makes me a woman. Biologically, I was made to make other humans and I cannot do that. So what am I? And what's wrong? And it's not easy to talk about. It's taken, full disclosure, it's taken me, a lot of therapy to even be able to like share my story without just weeping. Because it's so difficult and it's so hard. And so I praise any women who like speak up and talk about it, because what I found is as soon as you share, and when I say 1 in 5, like if I talk somewhere and I tell people like, look at the 5 closest people to you, 1 in 5 will be struggling in silence. There are lines of people when I get off stage that are coming to hug me. How did you know? And I haven't told anyone. And we're going through surrogacy. I did 4 rounds of IVF. Oh my God, I did this. And these people, I'm watching them as they are going, me too, me too. And all of them are going, I didn't know that. Like my friends reached out when we were crowdfunding. I didn't know they were going through infertility. Like,
And do people even know? Like a lot of times I feel like I hear people saying, we've been trying, we're just trying, they've been trying, and maybe they're trying, maybe it's even the second one. So like sometimes you have one
secondary
baby,
infertility.
secondary infertility. And I feel like that one will really sneak up on you because you're like, well, I already had a baby, so it can't
I
be.
did this once.
Right? Like my body should know, right?
Yeah.
Be like,
Yeah.
hey, this is what happens. And so they experience it. They don't even necessarily use the word infertile or even recognize it at first.
Yeah. So we always say trying to, like, I'm like, use the word if you're in the trying to conceive world, TTC, there's all these acronyms with fertility that I don't know why. But you aren't actually diagnosed until you go to the fertility clinic. So we're in this gray area. I mean, that's like who we're trying to help is those people who are like, okay, it's been 6 months. Shouldn't this have started working by now? Like, and then you hit 8 months and you're like, what? Clearly something's wrong. I don't think I could have sex any more times a day. Like, we all kind of know the basic birds and bees of how it should happen. And so and the more you talk about it, or this was my experience, the more I talked about it, the more people would ask me. And then if I am I'm at work in the cancer clinic and I just found out I got my period, which means I failed another cycle. So I go in the bathroom, I have mascara and tampons. I was like preparing. Again, I'm not pregnant. I have to cry. I go in the bathroom, I cry. I failed again. Then I have to put my makeup back on, go back out there, do my job. And like, if people were asking me about it, I couldn't keep up that facade.
Yeah.
So it just makes you retreat, because I don't want anyone to ask me about it, because I just went, cried in the bathroom, got my shit together. I can come out here again. But if I tell you and now you know, and you're asking me, oh my God, is it cycle day 1? You failed again? I can't handle that. Like, so then you don't tell people. So it's just a shame spiral where you're like, when are you going to have kids? And then you're just like, it got to the point where I was like, do you really want to know? But, which, to be fair, I ask those questions because you don't know what you don't know. And so, like, it's the whole process. I have learned so much about so much.
I'm sure you have. But one of the things you just mentioned, I wanted to come back to. You said, people maybe don't know they're in that gray area before they've gone to a fertility clinic. So let me ask you a question. To get fertile, do you need to have a referral to a fertility clinic?
You need to have $199.
That's it. You don't need a prescription.
You can go to PherDal.com, PHERDAL. You have to spell it like the weirdo I am. Scroll past the fertility clinics that are paying to be at the top of that search, and make sure you actually go to PherDal.com.
And I'll share that, by the way, in the show notes, but go ahead.
You don't need anything. No. Anyone, we are FDA cleared for anyone who is trying to conceive or has chosen not to get pregnant through intercourse.
So it's as easy to get as a multivitamin. You
literally can go to fertile.com and you order it and I ship it to you. And it's discreetly shipped. It's It almost looks like a shoebox. It's like
Okay.
covered in white plastic. I purposely like put a space in the name on the return label, so it's a little bit. It comes through like on your credit card even as like Fertile Labs instead of. So like I'm trying to make this as discreet and private as possible. The mailman doesn't know that you'll be
Got it.
inseminating. Because I learned quickly. I love my logo, but people were like, my first 200 kits, they were like, can we package that up a little different? So yeah, it's discreetly delivered. And that's all. Yeah.
Well, I think you're doing everything. It's so funny because you're like, I want to knit. Like you're making presents. You're thinking about how best. You're thinking about how best to serve the people who need fertile, right? Like whether
Yeah.
it's free packaging, affordable prices, hand knitted blankets, emails.
I
What
give customers my cell phone. I'll be in bed at night. Like, yeah, you got problems? Talk to me. Like,
But what about but you're here in the world of like reproductive health science. What would you change systemically if you could change one thing?
um,
How our system approaches women's reproductive health.
oh God. That's a one, we should maybe look at it. Think about fertility science for the past 200 years. How long have women been doctors? Maybe 1960s, more women were getting doctors before then. Um, Probably not 50-50 until, I don't know, 90s, 2000s, maybe. Um, so, what fertility science was up until then was a bunch of old white dudes looking at each other's sperm. So we should, maybe just look into women's health. There needs to be more research and more funding. Also, the way we approach it clinically, and I'm not a clinician, I have a lot of respect for clinicians. My goal is eventually that, when you go to the OB, and when I went to the OB at 8 months and they were like, you have to fail 4 more times, that people will know, oh, you should try Fertile first, bridge that gap. It might not work for everyone, but it'll work for some. And then if that doesn't work, then you go to the fertility clinic. But it's so much common sense is missing from women's healthcare, like just from like bedside manner of like how we're treated and the gaslighting and then not being heard. We need a lot more like compassion and empathy and advocacy, I think.
I think you're right. But I'm glad to know that like, in terms of you're younger than I am, but like in terms of new generations or going forward or for my daughter, like there's so many more women involved in the space. And hopefully not every woman's a good woman. We had a little conversation privately, but like hopefully the women involved in this space are going into it with that same kind of in that same headspace where it's
Oh,
like,
the women found this is why I love femtech.
yeah,
So badass because my story is not unique when you get to know other femtech founders who are like, this bullshit happened, and then they're like, yeah, so I just did something about like, and it's this growing industry of just problem solvers and people who like are compassionate and smart and driven. And I love being in the femtech community for that reason, because just the energy and awareness and passion is, I mean, you're not going to find that at my husband's mechanical engineering job. I'll tell you that.
well, and
So
it's interesting because they talk about femtech as like this growing, like in the financial world, right? There, because
yeah,
obviously femtech needs funding. So for anybody who doesn't know, femtech is like an umbrella term for really all women's health. It started off as like the umbrella term for like kind of digital, like tech,
yeah,
health tech, but now it's really expanded to anything that has to do with
yeah.
women's health. And so it's a growing field in terms of, finances and investment, but really it's like, yes, we need the finances and yes, we need the investment and rightfully so, right? These are inventions that can help a lot of people, but the women involved in it, they're they're solving problems, whether they're getting the resources or the finances or not.
Right.
Like,
I didn't,
you know what I
you
mean?
can
Like,
tell me I need 5 million, but we'll get FDA clearance for less
right,
than a
like
million, yeah.
we're figuring it out, and it's great to know that there are so many people in that space doing good things. What is for you? You've been through this gigantic journey from diagnosis to invention to FDA approval to, you know, knitting booties. What's the one message you want women listening to take away from your story?
Oh. Um, you are the expert of your body. You need to trust that you know your body best. And so if you are struggling to conceive or you are, you know, experiencing panic attacks or you are having, whatever it is that is happening, if you know something is wrong, speak up, find your voice, because like no pain is normal. No, there's so much that isn't normal that we as women deal with, because what else are you going to do? So I hope people realize that, like, maybe the thing that is painful or causing you so much shame or makes, in my case, me go cry in the bathroom and then carry mascara with me to like get back to work, like, that you are not alone, and it's way more common than you think. And if you find your voice, and you can find your voice, you can find support in other women that will help you, and you don't have to do it by yourself.
And thank you so much for coming on here today. I am so appreciative. I feel like a lot of people are going to get a lot of value out of this. And I'm going to have all the links to where you can buy PherDal, to where you can learn more, to where you can see your Time Award picture, all in the show notes. So thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. It is amazing to be here and get to roar. So thank you.
That was Jennifer Hintzsche, founder of PherDal. Proof that when women create from frustration, we get innovation that actually serves us. And speaking of women using their voices to create change, next week's guest takes that idea to a whole new level. Renee Neiman went from writing hilarious posts as fake adult mom to creating Resist Like a Mother, reminding parents that raising good humans is part of the resistance. Because as she's realized, and as so many of us are feeling, parenting isn't just personal anymore, it's political. You don't want to miss this one.